What I wanted to say is, okay, I was listening to Al Sharpton, and there was a guy came on. He was talking about his brothers in the hospital, and he has what is the man with the Donald Trump? The what is his name?
Elon Musk.
Yes. Okay. Now a lot of people got fired, and from his job. So the guy been on his job for 10 years. Now he has no insurance. He has no place to stay. So they're trying to get some help for him. Now, what I wanted to say is, I hear all the time that the Democrats is not doing anything. Democrats is doing more than Republicans, because if you think about it, when we had the Obama insurance, we did have something to lean on. So you have to have something to lean on. The Republicans don't give you anything, but the Democrats do give you something. You got to get, doctor, tell me, am I wrong about what I'm saying? You got to have something, because what's going to happen to this man? He done lost his job, no place to stay, and no insurance. Now, what did he do? Obama did help. Now, tell me, I want to hear from you. What should he do? The Democrats do help.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Lee.
I see it a little bit differently, respectfully, Queen Mother. I think we have to, recognize that just because you get some crumbs don't mean you should be comfortable with getting any crumbs. I think when you look at the 50 million votes that Black people have to cast every presidential election in this country, we should be looking forward to something more than just Obamacare. I mean, if we go through the streets of Chicago, through the various neighborhoods here, if we go throughout the Black community in the state of Illinois, if we ask Black people what are the three biggest problems we have, I promise you medical care will not be at the top of the list. Police genocide will be up there. Homelessness and gentrification will be up there. Miseducation and mass incarceration will be up there. So although I do understand your sentiment, I don't think Obamacare is enough for me to cast a vote. And if you talk to small Black business owners, Obamacare has actually been a hindrance to them, because the way in which they're penalized by not having it, with their business. So it becomes a problem if you're a business owner.
I'm gonna have to push back a little bit, if you don't mind.
Sure.
In so much as I am a dialysis patient, currently 17 years. I've had a myriad of health issues that I fight through, press through, even today. And I can say, and I know you're speaking broadly.
Yes, ma'am.
Because the same way that there are some, because what you said was true about Black business owners. You have to have there's a threshold,
yes,
and you have to make sure you have insurance for those. I get it. But it also tremendously helped more people like me.
Okay.
Right. Because I was a dialysis patient, I could be denied. Mm-hmm. Right. Because before Obamacare, we've already gotten spoiled. It's been around just 10, 12 years. And already we're accustomed to taking our preconditions, mm-hmm. our pre-existing conditions, and expecting insurance. Well, just 15 years ago, I know what it felt like to be denied that. The other thing, too, is healthcare is one of the biggest issues in our community. Right. The disparity in how we're treated, the way that we are treated, the discrimination in our healthcare, maternal death rates. More Black women die giving birth than any other race. Mm-hmm. More Black children die immediately after mm-hmm. birth than any other race. And that's just in maternal care. So we could go. Are
you arguing that Obamacare addresses racism in medicine? Because it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. I'm not saying that it does. Okay. Right. What I'm saying is what I don't want to do is minimize the importance of healthcare to Black people, because that is just as high as everything that you legitimately listed. I would put healthcare in there right next to everything.
But he did say that it wasn't on the top of their list. He said it was. This is how their list was going.
And I'm saying I would argue that it's on the top of many people's list.
But see, here's a big question. To your point, and this is how they play us off of each other.
Sure.
Let's say medical care is at the top of your list. Miseducation is at the top of my list. Gentrification is at the top of his list. Police genocide is at the top of his list because the police just unalived his son unjustifiably. The reason why they're able to ping pong us off of each other and have us fighting over which topic we should pursue is because the Black community is politically disorganized. If we brought it all together and figured out how we're going to mesh all these competing interests, then we can go to them with a single agenda. But as long as we're only looking at what benefits me, what hurts me, as opposed to what's hurting the entire community, we're going to stay in this position. In other words, the lack of organization is a bigger problem than either what's being done by the Democratic Party plantation or the Republican Party plantation.
And here's the bigger part that's insidious in all this. everything that you just said is true, and every agenda item that you mentioned at the root of all of it is discrimination and racism.
Yes, sir.
And
yes,
it's right.
Yes,
so
sir.
if we can't, we got to get rid of discrimination and racism.
Yes, sir.
And those are everything that you mentioned are birthed out of that.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So now I'm gonna break this up. Okay.
Dr. Umar, it's an honor and a pleasure.
Peace, King.
Thank you. I've on this station often I advocate for Black people to form a block, a voting block, and make demands, and whichever party, be it Democratic, Republic, that signs off on those demands is the one we get our vote. In essence, we should leverage our vote instead of continue to do as we're doing, which is just blindly giving it away to one party, regardless of what we get in return for that vote. And I can tell you right now, as I put aloe vera on my wounds for bringing this to the community, it's met with, for the most part, negativity, pushback, and like it's the most absurd thing that Black folks have heard, simply because, and the main reason is because they feel that we have no options. It's a matter of the lesser two evils, and that although we don't get what we're supposed to get from the Democrats, it's still the best option for Black people. And I just feel that we could do much better. But once again, if you just give something away, you're always going to be taken for granted because you're a given. And I don't want to be a given. I just want to get your thoughts on that and your thoughts for Black people's unwavering, for the most part, loyalty to the Democratic Party.
Thank you, Eddie.
I completely agree with you. We definitely need to organize the Black vote, and we need to vote along community lines. I do believe that we're nothing but a political football, to use a Malcolm X analogy, that's being thrown back and forth between conservative and liberal Democrats and conservative and liberal Republicans, and we don't get anything out the deal. I mean, we can go back to the last presidential election between Democratic nominee Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Neither one of them had anything on the agenda that particularly spoke to the Black reality, and yet Black people still felt that they had to be loyal to Kamala or vice versa, and we got nothing out of it. We got nothing out of any of the presidential elections over the past 25 years, even, because we do not vote as a group. We are a numerical minority, between 13 to 17%, however you look at it nationally. Being a numerical minority, your voice can still be heard, your agenda can still be implemented if you stick together. The problem with us is we don't stick together, and we do got to keep in mind that there's a lot of Black bourgeoisies, there's a lot of Black elites in Chicago, in Philadelphia, in Atlanta, who are paid and who are well placed to make sure Black people don't get organized as well. So we have to look at the demon without, but also the demon within.
If I may dovetail on that point with you, do you think then that the issue is that we are not unified in whom we vote for, or that we are not unified in what we demand? Because it seems as if we're very unified on whom, I mean, for president, at least upwards of 90% support for Democratic Party. So as the problem is that we are not unified in who we're voting for, or that we're not unified in our demand, in our ask.
That's a great point that you're making, a great analogy. And I think it's a little bit of both. We're definitely not unified in what we're asking for. We're also not unified in who we're voting for. And I say that to say that although we're voting Democrat 90% of the time, most Black people are only voting because they're told to, or they're listening to the Black elites or the educated Blacks who are voting that way. In any community, poor people tend to follow their successful people. So whatever the successful people do, I'm going to follow suit. So they're basically going behind those who they believe know a little bit more about how we should go, and they're just following suit. So yes, the vote is organized for the Democrats, but why is it organized for the Democrats? And it's because we're following the opinions of the Black elites, and we're not thinking for ourselves.
We're not coalescing around that why.
Correct. Correct.
And that takes me back to when we used to be Republicans historically, and because of the southern states that decided to almost bully us into becoming Democrats so that they can get those votes. And then when we moved to the northern states, we took that same indoctrination with us. What do you say to those that definitely don't have that tie to the Republican Party just because of the teachings of the Democratic Party?
Well, here's the thing. In my opinion, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party have the same agenda for Black people. That's marginalization. How they go about it is completely different. The Democrats will play to your emotions, play to your need to be accepted, play to your need to participate, and they will get your vote. The Republicans are brutally honest about their lack of concern for Black people, but they will throw you something like a platinum plan, a Donald Trump, where I'm going to invest in Black businesses, but I'm still going to empower the police to kill you all and then protect them, right? And so some Black people say, well, the Democrats have never done nothing. At least Donald Trump specifically had something just for Black people, so I'm going to vote for him. And that's why he did get a lot of Black votes, because he spoke to us. Even though the overall program was garbage, I didn't vote for him, right? But he still spoke to us, whereas Kamala Harris wouldn't even label a single thing as an agenda item she wanted to carry out for Black folks.